What's up, everybody? My name is Adam Palmer. This is Daily Nonsense. On today's show, we have an update to the Shohei Ohtani Topps Now card, some eBay data that came out about who is the top seller on the platform, and it is Topps basketball release day. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you're a new viewer, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any future Daily Nonsense content. Let's get into it. Something that I meant to mention actually on yesterday's podcast, so this is kind of just a quick update, is that there was an Ohtani Topps Now card commemorating the 3 home run, 10 strikeout game that he had. The print run of that Topps Now card was over $250K, which essentially locked in Topps kind of adding to the Topps Now branding, the program, however you want to call it, the product itself. There's going to be a Topps Chrome parallel for this card, which that's one of the first times I think we've seen that added to this. And I think it's a great way to test new ideas with Topps Now. I mean, with Ohtani, really, like if you're trying to set a certain number, all you got to do is come out with that card specifically, and I'm sure you're going to break the number. So there's going to be some Topps Chrome parallels. There's going to be a ton of different parallels for this one. 250K, not the record. Obviously, we saw last year's Ohtani's card and then the triple auto break that record, but that was something that I forgot to mention yesterday that I wanted to make sure I mentioned on today's episode. It is Topps basketball day. The first Topps product, I guess, is officially out. You can probably buy it at stores if you were able to pick it up anywhere or at any of your local hobby shops, and I have covered it extensively on this show, so I don't necessarily have there isn't any new news that I've seen other than yesterday we talked about the 1.2 million base copies of every single card. I think one of the things that we've seen specifically with basketball is the debut patch that obviously came out with the first game. There was an Oklahoma City Thunder player who's going to have his first debut patch for a rookie. But I think the other thing that I have noticed that we talked about for baseball and that has been talked about ad nauseum probably is different ideas for these patch cards. Like I've seen people talk about like a last game patch, some sort of historic milestone patch, and that's essentially what they have done. So all of the award winners, so I think it was Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and then MVP, so Shea Gilchrist-Alexander, and then I forget who the other two players were, but the award winners from last year, they're going to be wearing special gold logo men patches, so those are probably going to go into products. And then there's also these other different types of patches, like there's a bunch of different the NBA tweeted about all these different patches, and I know Topps here has got to have their hands on these. Like they have to. This is basically their idea. At least if I'm going to be honest, I think it probably is, and it's not like out of the realm of possibility that these patches have just been in the works for forever, and now that Topps is, maybe it's just good timing, maybe it's a little bit of a coincidence, but like Topps is going to be getting these patches, and I think that is definitely a big deal. Something that I would also like to see expanded upon is the actual sponsor patches on NBA jerseys. And I know that in some products over the past few years, Panini has used those. Like I saw there was like a Harley Davidson Giannis one. There's like a bunch of Disney ones because I know that Disney is the main sponsor for the Orlando Magic. But I would really like to see Topps kind of expand upon those and add more of these, like more of the sponsor patches. But there was a StockX logo on somebody's jersey. StockX is going to be sponsoring one of the teams. And like I said, I just would love to see them expand upon these sponsor patches, add more of those in there. I think they're going to probably do more of the commemorative patches, like I said, with the MVP patches. Either way, I don't think that those cards are going to be in this product. I guess I would hope that they're going to be in Topps Chrome. I think if they're going to do the debut patches, I hope they keep them in Topps Chrome across all the products. These other patches we could definitely see in a different card, most likely, but I guess we don't really know this news yet, so, when that gets announced, I'm sure I'll be talking about it on the show, but at least for now, there's a ton of new patches that are going on to jerseys that I would have guessed Topps has something to do with, and those patches are probably then going to go into cards, realistically. Friend of the channel, Chris Sewell, buys and sells baseball cards, or buys and sells collections, mainly. He was on the Sports Card Nonsense podcast, and he talked about buying like 1 million cards or 3 million cards. I forget what the exact number was, but in his most recent video that he put out, he talked about buying a collection and going through it, and I thought it was pretty informational with talking about the cards and kind of his mindset when he's buying these collections. So if you haven't checked out that video, I definitely suggest going to check that out. one of the new things, or at least I think that it's new, that I've seen on some of the gem rate data is that they are now able to track the highest sellers, like the highest earners on eBay. And this is the first time I have seen this chart before. And maybe it's to no surprise, but PSA is actually number one now on eBay with $18 million worth of sales. Now, obviously, those are consignment sales. Those are not all like PSA selling the cards. But then you have Probstein at number two with 12 million, which Probstein has announced they're going to be leaving eBay relatively soon with their new auction house called Snipe. And I talked about that a while ago. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure it's probably going to do fine. Like, I mean, people said the same thing about PWCC when they left eBay. Like, people were nervous that the PWCC platform was going to work, and it worked fine. And it actually worked so well that Fanatics came in and bought it. And now PWCC is just actually Fanatics Collect. Some of the other notable sellers on here, you had DC Sports, $7 million. And then down towards the bottom is still, they had a lot on here from a consignment perspective. ComC, they had $2.24 million worth of sales. A lot of this stuff, makes sense. I mean, a lot of the consignment platforms have just become much easier to, go from sending a card in to wanting to sell it on eBay. I know on ComC, it's just like, I'm pretty sure it's just like a click. You can go to an auction. And with PSA, it's very similar. I mean, if you have cards in your vault, you can just send them directly to eBay and they will sell them, or PSA will sell them. As long as there are sports cards to be sold, eBay is going to be one of the biggest places that you can sell them. The sales on eBay you can't really argue with that. So like if you're new to sports cards, new to buying or selling, either one, I think that eBay is really where you obviously should be starting, just because all the eyeballs are there. And I think if, for example, PSA is saying we're going to sell cards on this platform, I think, again, you should be looking at what the biggest companies are doing if you are trying to form your strategy around what buying and selling. Like, I think the fact that eBay has pulled PWCC, or not PWCC, they've pulled PSA, and they're selling consigned cards on there. Like, that's sort of the reason why I'm not 100% sure if the Probstein platform is really going to work. I mean, PWCC, like Golden and PWCC for a while, were really like 1 and 2 off of eBay for like top selling platforms, in my opinion. And like I said, PWCC, like, would they have survived if Fanatics hadn't come in and bought them? Like, I don't really know. I'm not sure. But like, so that's a little bit of my concern with like Snipe, which is the Probstein platform. Like, I don't know if people are going to gravitate towards a platform because of the branding, or just because you're a seller. Like, I think that is one thing in the sports card industry that people maybe forget about, or they don't think about, is like how you brand yourself, or whether it's your eBay store, or whether it's your brand on social media. It's like, people are going to look at your brand a certain way, positively or negatively, I guess. I mean, in theory, it's better for it to be positive or negative versus not really care about it at all. So, like, I think with Probstein, like, people are, there are people that go to eBay to buy Probstein cards specifically, but I don't know if, like, the brand necessarily, like, they're just a consigner. So it's like, for people that are buying and selling cards, I just look at the branding of what they're doing. And that's sort of where I maybe don't agree with them trying to get everybody off of the platform. I know that they're doing some things with like seller fees and stuff along those lines, but I'm just wondering, like, if PSA, for example, is being like, oh, we're actually going to try and take some of that space. I think that's a smart idea. Like, I think that PSA saying, hey, if one of these big people are leaving, we're going to come onto the platform, and this is not the first time, or this is not like, it's not new for PSA to be selling on eBay necessarily. But I just think that, like, they're trying to take some of the market share, and I think the branding is something that people are sort of overlooking, in the sports card industry from a buying and selling perspective, and just from like a personal brand perspective. That's all we've got for today's show. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about today's topics. Also, come back here to the Sports Card Nonsense YouTube channel every day for more daily nonsense. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.